I was gospel all the way through my life until I got older and God started to show me the fullness of my entertainment call. And so that it wasn't restricted to a specific genre, but it was the text that would flow from me. So I do what I call life music. I touch on because still a man of God. So anything that I pursue is going to be clean. Anything that I present is going to be impactful and it's going to have a purpose to encourage.
Alright, yo, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So for all those crazy people out there who never heard of your boy, who ain't tapped in, they don't know what's going on. Baltimore, Maryland is in the building. Give us your name and tell us what you do in a couple of seconds.
Hey, it's Brother Calvin in the place to be. I'm an entertainment specialist, giving you acting, film, theater, recording artist, professional model, menswear stylist, and more.
All right, so let's go back to where it all started for you in Baltimore, Maryland, with your moms, your pops, the dog, the cat, all of that. How did you fall in love with entertainment?
So I grew up in a pretty much a performing arts family, specifically on my father's side. We grew up watching cousins record and release music. I also was in the West Baltimore Christian Warriors marching band, where I got my first taste of live performing, dancing, and all those things. And of course, performing in on the church choirs as a youngin' growing up, learning about vocal training and knowing where you place. Also, understanding my gift of exhortation, preaching and teaching ministry, those things developed growing up. And then high school. High school, we learned so many different types of music. And that's where I really fell in love with all types of music, just knowing that good music is good music no matter what genre. So that's how it started in my upbringing. And then professionally, I broke on the scene with a debut concert in 2000 or 2001. So I've been doing this professionally over 21 years and still kicking, man.
All right, I like that. I like that. So let me ask you this: when you was younger, growing up in the streets of Baltimore and all of that stuff, was it tough for you? Like, I don't know, maybe you grew up in an area where it wasn't so good, maybe to be an R&B singer. Everybody was, I don't know, in the hood and that type of thing. How was it for you growing up in the streets of Baltimore?
Well, it was rough, but I didn't grow up in the worst parts of Baltimore. I grew up in Frederick and Font Hill. And so I had to always be on the ready. It seems like and now I used to fight a lot, however, and I never started a fight in my life. I used to always either be the new kid in class or I was getting put out of class because I was the class clown, which led to me getting kicked out of schools or moved out of school. So I was always the new kid and they had to try the new kid. So I grew up fighting. I grew up in athletics. I didn't start doing R&B until recent years, though. I was gospel all the way through my life until I got older and God started to show me the fullness of my entertainment call. And so that it wasn't restricted to a specific genre, but it was the text that would flow from me. So I do what I call life music. I touch on because I'm still a man of God. So anything that I pursue is going to be clean. Anything that I present is going to be impactful and it's going to have a purpose to encourage. So my current music is life music. It's R&B, pop, it's inspirational, it's alternative, hip hop, but the content is life music and it has character and it has integrity.
I like that. It has integrity. So
Yes,
speaking
sir.
of which your parents, your moms, and your dad, was both of them forcing you to go to the R&B route, or pushing you into the choir to sing? Was it both of them, or was it one parent in particular pushing you to craft your voice into the R&B lane?
So my father was very athletic. So he was my little league baseball coach for about 7 or 8 straight years. And
Oh wow.
so he was big into the sports. Now, when it came to the arts and performing and all that, he wasn't really into that. My mom was like the cheerleader, the coach for anything that we wanted to do. But both of my parents together, they would make us understand that whatever you choose to do, you need to give it 100% your everything. And so my mother was right there. She was at almost every audition, every performance. So it was my mom, but they didn't push me in any direction. My mom was just that extra support in all of the performing arts. My mom and my big sister. So yeah.
Nice. So your big sister, you mentioned her. What's up with Big Sis? Can
Mhm.
she sing? Does she got the vocals like you, Calvin Tucker? What's up? Does your big sister got the vocals the way you do?
So I have two sisters. It's just that at that time, my little sister wasn't born yet. She was born in the 90s. so,
Mm.
but both of my sisters have better voices than me. So if I had my way, I would manage one or both of them. But they're not called to the entertainment industry. Of course, on the come up, they used to be my background singers. They would wear my clothes that I modeled in photo shoots and shows. They background dance for me, and on a couple of songs you'll hear them as well. Particularly "Patiently Waiting." They both have lead background parts on "Patiently Waiting," and that's on my first gospel project that dropped in 2012. And so currently on my current music, my older sister Carrie, her lead vocals are on 1-800. So that song's from my current project. So yeah,
Mm.
man, my sisters have beautiful voices.
Okay, okay. And so what's up? What about Mom Dukes? Was her voice nice? What was she? Alto, soprano? What's up with moms? What was she in terms of her vocal range?
So my mom is like myself. She did everything. She was on the modern dance, cheerleading, so many other different things when she was coming up as well. And so, but singing wasn't one of the things she was really into solo. She's a strong tenor. My father is a bass. And so yeah.
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. I like that. I like that. I like
Mhm.
that. Yo, if you are just tuning in, you are tuned in to the Pimp Game Podcast, where we highlight positive, intelligent, motivated people each and every single week. And this week we got a special one. That's right, Baltimore's finest, Mr. Calvin Tucker, R&B sensation out of B-More. Stop playing. We got you. All right.
Hey.
So let's transition a little bit, just a little bit. You mentioned your moms and stuff like that. Calvin Tucker, the name, I like it, is very strong, very powerful, in my opinion. Is that your real name, or did you just add the Tucker on there, or is it like a little bit of your middle name or something like that? How did you come up with the name Calvin Tucker?
My stage name is my full name.
Mm.
The brother that comes in front of it came from growing up in the church. Everybody was brother this, brother that, sister so and so. And so coming into the game, I didn't want there to be confusion when I decided to go professionally in the industry. So I was like, I'm going to leave the minister on my name. So when I first started, my name was Minister Calvin Tucker. Even going into breaking into the modeling industry and all of that, on my resume, my comp cards would be Minister Calvin, because I didn't want people to be confused if I said I wouldn't do certain things. I wanted minister to kind of prepare them so it wouldn't be a shock. Coincidentally enough, the word minister meant nothing to people in the industry because they still were shocked that I had the standards of not modeling in underwear or implied nude. I wouldn't do those things, or sexually suggestive posing. They still bamboozled and, well, not bamboozled, the wrong word, confused. And I'm like, okay, I have minister on my name, but I'm like, okay. So anyway, as I grew, of course, I took minister off, just left it at Brother Calvin. So, but the
Okay.
rest of it is my full name.
So you was a minister and stuff like that, preaching in front of the congregation and things of that nature. Were you scared your first time you went up in front of, I don't know, hundreds of people in the church, even though you might see them every Sunday? Were you scared for that first time you going up on, I don't know, the pulpit to speak in front of the congregation?
Well, yeah, I'm still a minister of the gospel, still a preacher. My first time, I wasn't nervous, only because thank God for Shirley West, Keith Finch, other people in the church, and of course my mom pushing us to do everything in the church. Because by that time, I had led different songs in church and had ministered without the title. And so because Shirley West saw the gift of exhortation in me, and also because my voice was not developed in that good, Yet anyway, I would get a mix. Sometimes I would get a vocal lead, but most times I would get a Kirk Franklin or Fred Hammond lead or Richard Smallwood where there was a speaking lead. And
Mm.
I believe she saw that to develop the exhortation and preaching ministry before I answered the call. So by the time I went through ministerial training, which was like a boot camp, and stepped up to preach, I was ready. I
Mm.
was, nervous a little bit, but not, not like, oh my God.
So let me ask this: is it a thing in the church where when you do go up there and speak, maybe you're nervous your first time? Do people in the congregation talk about you like, oh, he's not cut out for this and stuff like that? Does that type of thing go on in the church
Of
if
course,
maybe it's your first time?
even if it's not your first time, because the natural conversations happen in any type of environment. So those who know me enough, if they saw nervousness, they would be able to say, yeah, we could tell you were nervous around this point or that point. Or it could be unprepared and this person is not ready. Or it could be a mixture of both. And so we all see it and we all have certain discussions about it. Now, back in that day, that was when people could write letters to the board of the church to say if you were not ready, and then you would not be able to move on to the next level or whatever. You would have to, go back through the process over, kind of like prove that you were ready if they had enough letters. I believe it was 3 or more letters, something like
Mm.
that.
So let me ask this because I'm glad that you said that. How long does it take for someone to become a preacher or what have you? What, in your opinion, like what is the
Mhm.
accurate amount of time that someone needs before they can actually step up there on the
Mhm.
on the pulpit and speak in front of hundreds of people in the congregation?
So there are a couple answers. First of all, God calls and God
Mhm.
qualifies, God ordains. So if God calls you to the preaching ministry, or that you have a gift of exhortation of sharing the gospel, which is technically all believers, because the Great Commission tells all believers to go into the world and make disciples. Okay. But then we're talking about organized church and we're talking about the platform of preaching, then that is different. So me personally, I believe in the man-made process of being stamped by your leader, your pastor, the one that you serve under. So I believe in going through the ministerial training, passing whatever is supposed to get you to the next level before you step in the pulpit to preach, because then you are now made responsible for souls. That is a little bit different than the Great Commission, because the Great Commission, all it requires of us is to share our testimony.
Mm.
Preaching is way more than your testimony. Preaching is bringing a word from God and concisely explaining the word of God, which comes from prayer and the Holy Spirit moving through you, which you can also do just evangelizing and just operating in the Great Commission as well, but it's still different. I believe that people should go through some type of training. Some people go to seminary. Some people just go through that church like I did, and so forth and so on. But if you don't have public speaking experience, which again, I had that way before I knew what a calling was, because
Mm.
my mom would not, they already knew in my church, you can call on the Tucker children if you need a young person to read the scripture, if you need a young person to do the prayer, because my mom wasn't letting us say no. Because I know you asked me that earlier. She didn't push up,
Uh,
like make us, but if it was requested of us, she would make us go initially. And so that's actually how we learned what we were good at, not good at, like, didn't like, was because if we had our choice, we would probably do nothing, right? Especially me being introverted, right?
mm.
So our parents are there to do things like that. She didn't push us past, but she pushed us to. Come on, that's a word for somebody. So
All right. I like that. I like that. I like that. So let me ask you this: in terms of a preacher, what makes a good preacher in your opinion? Like, is it how they grab the crowd? Is it the mentorship that they give people? Maybe in, I don't know, singles ministry or something like that. What makes a good preacher?
a good preacher is someone who can clearly, explain the gospel without putting you to sleep. Many would say, I'm not here to entertain you. And that's something else. When I called myself a gospel artist, when I would go to a youth service and sing my original songs, I just picked up on what, I heard growing up. People always would say before they preach, saying, I'm not here to entertain you. And then I would hear entertainment news or BET entertainment, and I was into that stuff, and I just started to think, and God started to work on my spirit. Look up the definition of entertainment. I'm like, why is it such a bad word? And it was not a bad word. It's just that church people like to be church people. So that opened my eyes. I looked at entertainment. It means to captivate and hold one's attention. So if the word of God does not captivate and hold one's attention, I don't know why we call ourselves believers or preachers. All right. So we are here to entertain. We're here to entertain with an impact and a purpose. And so good preachers know how to combine that entertainment element, that public speaking element to the word of God so that you're able to receive it, or the masses are able to receive it.
Okay. Well said. Well said. Well said. Now, let me ask, in terms of the relationship between music and church,
Mhm,
why is it that, maybe sometimes people in church, I've always wanted to ask this question, maybe they might not be feeling, I think they call it secular music or what have you.
mhm,
Why aren't they feeling that? Why is it that because sometimes we accept gospel, but it may not be the same the other way around. So there are some gospel people that may not like your Chris Browns, your Ushers, maybe even
mhm,
your Calvin Tuckers. Maybe they don't like them. Cisco from Drew Hill, stuff like that. Why
mhm.
do you think that is, that maybe on the gospel side they may not like the secular music, even though it's not nothing abrasive or sexual or anything like that? They still may not like it and calling it secular music.
I feel like things have changed a lot. There was a lot of that when I was coming up. Even when I was, writing my gospel songs, I would write them to R&B tracks. Because I
Mm,
don't know if y'all remember, but back in the early 90s, you could go to a store and get an actual CD compact disc of your favorite
right.
single. Let's say a Money Long Hours. That one song would be on a CD with the instrumental on the back, the radio version, the remix version. And so I would take the instrumentals. And back then, before I learned how to write my own songs, I started out just changing the words.
Mm,
So if it was hours and hours, I'd be like worship and worship, the same exact melodies, all I would just change the words for a message of God. So I'd be at youth services singing. I remember I wrote a song to Faith Evans, Love Me, Touch Me Deep Down, Never Let It Go. That's what it was. But I wrote a gospel song. But remember, I kept the same melodies. No. That's when I started to change the melody. But still, I looked out in the crowd and noticed people were singing the Love Me hook while I was singing
mm,
the gospel hook, which was different, and it was quite interesting. So, but that was back then. So now I think there's been an evolution where people are just being honest. That a lot of those people that were talking about secular music, this, that, were listening to secular music in their car. They were just being phony in front and thinking that's how they were supposed to present themselves. And so I don't see a battle between secular and gospel anymore. Yeah, so I feel like that was over a long time ago. There's so many different things that people are debating about CCM versus traditional gospel versus hip hop gospel, R&B gospel, like the Mary Marys and Dietrich Haddons. Those are now the debates with inside the organized church. We want the hymns back. Y'all done got rid of the choir and put the CCM up. Where's the is that kind of thing going on now?
all right. So give me Calvin Tucker's top five gospel artists. Who is Calvin Tucker's top five gospel artists?
Dorinda Clark Cole, Mary, Kirk Franklin, Yolanda Adams, CeCe Winans, and I said Dietrich Haddon, Dawkins and Dawkins.
That's your top five. You actually gave me
Mhm.
six. I don't know now.
Oh,
I
okay.
got a
Look,
little beef to pick. What's up? Fred Hammond ain't in
well,
there? What's
it's
up with
way
him?
more than five. It's way more than five. But I will say this: all those others kind of rotate in number, but the only one that is a number is Dorinda. Dorinda Clark Cole is my favorite female vocalist of all life. She ties with Brandy Norwood. They're number one. And then
Okay.
everybody else is whatever number you want, but they're my favorites too.
All right. Yo, if you are just joining us, we are live on the P.I.M.P Game Podcast, and we're here with the one and only. That's right, Baltimore's finest, Calvin Tucker, Mr. R&B sensation, actor, mentor, all of that, right here on the P.I.M Game Podcast. So let me ask you this, you have a dope single coming out Valentine's Day for all the
Valentine
ladies,
Day.
featuring Scola as well as Rell. It is called UnDoOver. What is up with that single? Tell us about the single UnDoOver.
Yes, sir. UnDoOver is the your response to the question, would you take your ex back? And so if you
Mm,
notice how it's spelled with it's a play on words and it's all kinds of things going on. It's a question mark. So I don't know if you remember, it was popular for people to say, "Oh, wait, I messed up something. I need a do over. Like I would need
right,
to do it again." So
right.
and so the question is, would you do a do over with your ex? And it's the question mark. So undo over question mark is like you're being sarcastic. Like absolutely not. And so the song goes through the reasons why I would not take my ex back. Shout out to Scola, Dinero from Drew Hill, and Rell, who was formerly signed to Roc-A-Fella Records. They are featured on the song. It comes out Valentine's Day on all platforms. Definitely, y'all got to get it, stream it, share it, share it. Everybody will be able to relate to it. It is a breakup song, however, it's not a bashing song, and men and women can relate to it, whether it's a relationship or even a friendship.
Mm. I like that. I like that. I like that. So let me ask you this. I don't know. Do you advise the fellas to get back with their ladies after maybe the lady has hurt them? Is that what's going on? Do you advise that, Calvin Tucker?
I advise you to let the Lord lead you. Because honestly everyone is different. I mean, I've seen people who I've known to break up and get back together and never break up again. I've seen people get back together and break up where it was toxic. It was back and forth. It was, oh boy, here they go. And so me personally, I sound like my students now. Me personally, it would be case by case. But up until now, my past relationships, I wouldn't take any of them back. There is one though, if she had, but there would be a certain process that someone would have to go through that I would know that changes have been made, like therapy and things like that. If those things had taken place and a person is at a new place, then it's worth looking into should they cross our path, with a proposition. But off top, it's just move on. That's my main motive. Once it's over, just move on.
Yo, this your boy Kenny D. Hey, I didn't mean to interrupt your show, but I just want to take a quick second, quick minute, just to let you guys know. If you want to see more dope interviews like this one, make sure you go on YouTube and check out Pimp Game Podcast. All right? And don't forget about our website, pimpgamepodcast.com, to see all your latest Pimp Game episodes. All right? We got you. Man, I'm done talking. Back to the show. Okay. So with the single UnDoOver, how did you go about writing that? Did you start with the hook, then you went to the verse? So you did the verse first. How did you go about writing that song?
Great question. And the song did not start off as a breakup song. I was just having a regular session with one of my producers, Owen Wilson, Chris Sherman. And we had made this track. We pulled some sounds from a database that he has. I'm like, oh, what is that? Give me that. Put that in here. Give me this many bars of this. All right, drop this. I'm co-producing. And then I take the track home and I'm listening. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm just like, I'm like, wait, but what I'm listening to is real sexy. Like it's real sexual, sensual. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a man of God. So I don't see myself writing anything sexual, nor do I want to. So I'm like, all right, wait, I done made this track. Wait a minute, it's gotta be something else. Let me keep listening. So I'm listening. Then I just start singing, just singing some of the I believe the hook or one of the verses. And I'm like, wait, this is a breakup song. And I'm like, oh, well, here we go.
Okay. All right. I like that. So you got Scola, you got Rell
Yes,
on the
sir.
track from Roc-A-Fella Records. What's up? How did you get them on the track to hop on UnDoOver?
Yeah, so I had online relationship with Rel first on social media, was just love your music. You're one of my favorite singers. He's one of my favorite male R&B voices, and so Scola, of course. Okay, Rell's in South Carolina or the Carolinas. Scola, of course, is in Baltimore from Drew Hill. So, what's interesting, I'll tell the story real quick. How I met Scola.
All
I
right.
owe it all to one of my homegirls, Chanel Wells. She is a actress and events promoter in Baltimore. Her and her twin sister had like a Fourth of July dinner or something like that at their house, and invited me. So I get there, I get places on time. So I was about maybe 10 minutes early. So I'm there, it's just me, her, and her sister. I'm like, okay, I know
Right.
I am early. Okay, cool. So time goes by.
Uh,
And like 30 minutes later, it's still just us. And then Scola walks in. So long story short, it was just us four the entire time, just vibing, hanging out. So that's where she introduced me to him, told him what I do. He immediately was like, well, like, man, take my number. And I'm thinking, every time that happens with me and a celebrity or me and an established entertainer, I always take them for what they say. However, I'm also used to them just saying stuff like that. And it just being like, when you call a text, like, huh? Who are you? What? Um, I'll call you back. And like just never hear from them. But with Scola, he was the same genuine gentleman he was then as he is now, a man of his word. So anyway, we met that day, exchanged numbers. And then over the years, I would just check in, hey, what's up, man? Shout out to y'all on the tour, because Drew Hill stay on tour, stay having an anniversary or something. I'm just checking in. So then when this song came up and I started writing the song, I was like, man, I just want some fellas on here to rock with me. I was like, but wouldn't it be crazy if I got some established artists on here? Like that'll be great. Like who? And then immediately those two came up. And so I hit them up the same day on Facebook. I copied and pasted the same message, just changed their name, sent it to them, said, would you be interested in being on the song? They immediately said yes. I was like, wait, that was too quick. Wait, let me. So I sent another message to them with links to my current music. So they could, and I said, this is the same studio, same mixing and mastering sound that our song will, come out sounding like. So then they can, decide if they still want to be on it. Cause I'm like, wait, that yes came back real quick. So so I sent that, and they both was like,
right.
I got you, I got you. And so then it went on from there. And so they did what they had to do. They were actually waiting for me to take care of some business for a while, and then they did everything they said they were going to do, man. Send their vocals in, didn't charge me a gazillion dollars and an arm. So so I really appreciate them. And they encouraged me along the way, man. Like they encouraged me along the way. They support the song and promote it themselves. And you don't find that a lot as well. Sometimes artists will feature on my song, and then when the song come out, you send them the stuff like here you go, and you promote, and they don't touch it. They just might listen to it once, maybe, and move on with their lives. And I'm like, well, okay. I believe that if I'm going to feature on something or collaborate, it's going to be something that I'm as proud of as my own solo work. So I wouldn't collaborate with any other artist, be on their hook or their song or rap or verse if I'm not going to touch the song when it comes out. If I don't want nothing to do with it, I'm gonna be on like this. My single that just came out, I'm supporting them like they believed in me to ask me to be a part of it. That's another story. I know I went on a rant, but that's how the song came about. I asked them, they said yes, they delivered, man.
All right. So, can you tell us right here on the Pimp Game Podcast right now? You said they didn't charge you a gazillion and an arm. Who charged you the most? Was it Scola or was it Rell? Who charged you the most? If you could say right here, right now, on the Pimp Game
That is not important. Next question.
Oh man, that is funny. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
You
Shout out to
tried though.
Rell.
You tried. I got to give you credit for trying.
Shout out, shout out to Rell and Scola from Drew Hill right
Yes.
here. With you, man. I like it, Mr. Tucker himself with the track UnDoOver. I like that. So, anybody else you looking to work with? Maybe you could, I know it's not Scola and Rell. Maybe you're looking to work with them again. Anybody else you might be looking to? Maybe a female artist you looking to work with? Keisha Cole. I don't know. Maybe somebody like that. Janet Jackson. Anybody you looking to work with in the near future?
I would love to work with everybody. Of course, Brandy and Dorinda Clark Cole, I've got to somehow work with them. So many people, Isaac Curry, Dave Hollister, Tank, man. I gotta get him with Tank. Kevin Ross, Jay Brown, the Clark sisters together too. You know, Dorinda Clark Cole, but the Clark sisters together. It's so many. I could just keep going from the Kelly Prices of it to the 112s and Day 26 and just a lot of people, man.
Mm, I like that. I like that. I like that. Okay. Okay. So, who inspires you the most as an R&B artist?
Mm.
Who's your biggest fan? I mean, I know we all have our biggest fan. Myself, I'm a huge R. Kelly fan. What about you? Who's your fan in terms of R&B artists out there?
So growing up, it used to be Keith Sweat. I used to know all his ad libs and all of that. So growing up, my foundation in singing in general was Keith Sweat, Jodeci, Aaron Hall, R. Kelly, and from then on and up until now became the Usher, Tank, Chris Brown, BB Winans, Yolanda Adams. I'm talking about vocals and vocal development. I used to watch. I had cassette tapes, VHS tapes of Yolanda Adams on all these different performances, and I would study her breathing, her body, her articulation, her showmanship. Especially on the Hopeville tours, one in particular where she was clearly hoarse and she was pulling through power ballads, man, like crazy on a hoarse voice. Man, talking about the skill of it. But yeah, but I feel like, what I feel like my sound is a mix of Aloe Black, Molly Music, and I forget who the third person all mixed together is kind of what my vocal sound is. And so yeah, man, but Tank is like number one, man.
Okay. All right. All right. I like that. Tank. Shout
And of
out to
course,
you.
Rell vocally. He's one of my favorite vocalists.
All right, so Tank and Rel. Okay, all right. So we're gonna play a little game called Who You Got? I'm gonna give you two artists, and you give me who you got. All right,
All right. All right.
all right. So the first couple of artists, we are gonna go Total and SWV. Who you got?
SWV player.
Uh, okay, all right. Another one, Genuine and Avant. Who you got?
Genuine all day.
No love for Avant?
This is a
Okay.
game. I got love for everybody.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one is gonna be Adele and Keisha Cole. Who you got?
Keisha Cole.
That's a tough one. All right. Let's
I
see.
need. I
One
need.
more.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of more. Let's go. We're gonna go.
You gotta make it hard. You gotta make it hard.
I'm gonna make it hard. Usher and Chris Brown. Who you got?
Usher. Usher.
Usher. Okay. All right. And then the last one, I'm gonna go Beyonce, and I'm gonna give you Ashanti. Who you got?
Beyonce.
Beyonce. Ashanti be doing her thing now. All right. All right. Well played. Well played. Well played. So, all right. I like that. So, today's quick topic of the show is Beyonce. Last night, she won a Grammy at the Grammy
Mhm.
Awards. What do you think about Beyonce and her prowess as an R&B artist, a pop star, a mogul in the industry? As she's had this track record for so long and really has been
Mhm.
on the top of her game for many years, ever since Writings on the Wall of Destiny's
Mhm.
Child. She has been doing her thing. What is your make of Beyonce and her Grammy last night?
First, let me say, if you're just tuning in, it's Brother Calvin. My single "UnDoOver" featuring Scola from Drew Hill and Rell, formerly of Roc-A-Fella, drops on Valentine's Day. You can pre-save on Spotify or Apple Music right now. Beyonce, I'm a super fan of Beyonce first. Secondly, her album to me is not country. And It's not a country sound to me. It's just, she's had singles on other albums that were way more definitely country than her project altogether. However, all of us knowing the history of country music and how it was stolen from black people, I kind of feel like it's reparations, like the beat, like partially reparations musically. And so I feel that number one, it's not a country album to me. Two, even if I listened to it to just see if I liked it as an album, like, and I got to the point where I was like, okay, I recognize it's not country, but is it a really good album? And I think she had mega amazing R&B albums that she should have won album of the year for, which is why Jay-Z and Kanye were mad all these years. I get it. But to say that her country album was the album of the year, I think is a lot of politics. However, on the flip side, the history of country, they stole it from us. So I'm really not mad. Let them be mad. Let them feel a little bit of what Big Mama Thornton and all of them went through back in the day.
All right. All
I
right.
mean,
Okay.
I may be wrong, but yeah, that's how I feel.
Mm. Well said. Well said. So you mentioned Jay-Z and Kanye West was mad. She didn't get album of the year, stuff like that back in the day.
Mhm,
Let me
mhm,
ask you this. In terms of music, the whole landscape has changed. Music is totally different now. In my opinion, it's not always good. You still got some good artists out there. Kendrick Lamar, Lil Wayne, Beyonce, in the name of
mhm.
few. What's your thoughts? What do we need to do to change the landscape of music to maybe go back to the way it used to be, at least from a quality standpoint? What do we need to do to go back to that at least a little bit?
Oh, it's too much because it's the breakdown is so many little pieces that have broken down to bring us to where we are musically now. First of all, the overuse of the computer is what would have to go. We're not even talking about the AI stuff because that's a whole nother world that I wish would not happen, but it's happening and it's going to happen, unfortunately. So where
Mhm.
you have people, there are labels who have signed AI artists. It's going to be crazy in the future, and I'm not looking forward to how music is going to be just made up and unauthentic in the future. And that's just me coming from real music. I like real vocals. Take the computer off. On my music, I either use no auto tune or little, and I'm not even familiar with all of the programs, but there's some like tuning mechanisms that they do use. But having like auto tune straight across, I go against it. And if I had it my way, all of my albums would be live. What we need to do is first of all get rid of all of the computerized vocals. Now, musician side, I'm not a musician fully, so musicians will probably say also in terms of the production because there's a watered downness in music to where there are not bridges and modulations and things that take you on those emotional rides musically in addition to the talented and anointed vocal matched with it. Those things are kind of fading away. Now, I will also say that we have to recognize that a lot of real music is still being made, such as UnDoOver, that comes out on Valentine's Day. But there's
Uh,
other music, it's just not in the forefront. So how to get it mainstream, that's a political game and a money game that I don't have the answer to. But we still
mm.
out here making music. And if you know what, if you look around, there's so many 90s R&B artists on tour right now. It's crazy. I've never seen this many big tours from Tamar to Fantasia and Tank and Brownstone and Kelly Price, Changing Faces, Total, Joe, Music Soul Child. All these people are on tour right now. I have
Mm.
tickets to some of them. Selena Johnson is on tour. I'm going to see her next month. Is so many at in 1 year. I've never seen it like this. They all rolling. Oh, Mary J with Mario and Neo. It's amazing. So I love that the live shows are still surviving for now.
So let me ask you this. You think it's a lot of tours because people are actually missing that type of music? Even people who are I don't know, music connoisseurs and stuff like that. They, maybe they might be a younger generation, but they still love the music from back in the day because it was really, really good. I'm talking about quality. You couldn't even make it in the industry if you wasn't tight. Like if you wasn't tight, you just couldn't make it in there. That's just what it was. You
That's what
think
needs to
that
come
you
back.
think
Hmm.
is that the reason why there's a lot of tours going on? Because people actually miss that music?
Yeah, I think that's the main reason because there has been a demand over the year, and then with I believe that people like Tank and what's his name, Phil Thornton and his team of We So Crazy.
Phil
People,
Thornton,
these
yeah.
big podcasts that focus on real soul and R&B legacy and promote that, putting it back in our memories, bringing that nostalgia back, and so it's making us remember, like, right. Well, not me because I'm on it. I already know I'm with them. But like your average person is now rethinking. Oh, I remember when that song came out. Like, dang, are they on tour? Like, why they not on tour? They start messaging. They start posting. We need this on tour. So I believe over the years, yes, you are right. Like that hunger and need for 90s legends and that sound, that real music is back in the forefront.
So let me ask you this: if Calvin Tucker was a record exec, maybe you started your own record label, UnDoOver record label, or whatever, partner
Uh-huh.
with Sony or something like that. Who would you sign? Who would be your first artist that you would sign?
There are a few. So I would start with Juanita Conti. I'm
Mm,
not sure she was born in Baltimore, but since we were in our early 20s, since I've known her, she's been in Baltimore serving as a worship leader and recording artist. She's incredible. She will be my launching my breakout artist, Juanita Conti. I've thought about this before. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. It's because it's so much talent. I'll just
there's
stop
a lot.
there for the sake of time. Yeah.
So that's it. Just that. You gonna do no more
Well,
artists. You only got
I want to be
one
honest,
artist on
so
your
I
label?
can't really. No. I want to be honest, but we don't have time for me to really,
Okay.
think about it. But
Okay. Okay.
she's the first one that comes to mind, like without a doubt.
So for that young boy out there looking to be the next Calvin Tucker, for that young girl out there looking to be the next Calvin Tucker, R&B sensation, actor, mentor, all of that. What's up? What would you say to them if they wanted to get into the entertainment industry?
I would say, whatever you're doing, make the best of it and do your absolute best. So whether you are working at Walmart, stacking the carts and pushing them back in, be the best at it, be on time, don't give attitude, and work on whatever craft you have and build. Put
Hmm.
your integrity and your passion into everything. And what you'll start seeing is God beginning to open doors. I believe you need to establish your spiritual relationship. Your relationship with God is everything. And so if
Mhm.
you trust in him, a lot of these other things you won't really have to worry about. You'll just have to worry about doing your due diligence, serving God, showing up as your best self, putting in your best effort, and not being afraid to make connections and ask for what you might need help with or what you're trying to grow or build. Ask for help, network, collaborate as much as you can. Research and study your craft. You should be a fan of a lot of different artists and art and professionals in different industries. Because even if you have one industry you're passionate about, there is inspiration in a lot of different careers and artistry that you can look at and be poured into.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you that I forgot to ask you, you do this full time. How for those, I don't know, struggling artists out there who are still doing their thing, how long did it take you to be full time? And what's the dedication that you need? Because people don't know what's the dedication that you need to actually be a full time artist, such as a Calvin Tucker.
Well, I'm blessed to have multiple callings and passions. My first calling and passion is the entertainment industry. So I'm doing that full time. Also, teaching is a passion and calling and ministry that I feel
Mhm.
strongly led to. So I'm a full-time teacher during the day. So I'm actually in
Ah,
February marks my third year as an official teacher and my 16th year in education. And so preaching and teaching falls kind of under, not really in entertainment. It's like a middle ground between teaching, then the preaching and teaching, and then the entertainment. So those three. So I'm not just full time in entertainment by any means, but it just takes you knowing who you are and not giving up, because the only guaranteed way to fail is to stop pushing forward, to give up.
Okay. Well said. Well said. Well said. So, any up and coming tours coming up for Mr. Calvin Tucker? Working with Scola, Rell, stuff like that. Any up and coming tours for Mr. Tucker?
So absolutely. Right now I'm on the UnDoOver tour. So you can go to my social media and see that flyer, see where I'm at and how you can check me out, from radio shows to performances. I have one coming up this Friday. Okay, let me say it this way because I don't know when this is airing. On February 7th is my next performance at the Commissions, a Christian open mic. And then I have different ones. I'm trying to definitely open for more established artists such as a Drew Hill, Kevin Ross, and Jodeci, SWV, Brownstone. I'm trying to open for all of these different people. So that's the next wave. I'm hoping that UnDoOver launches me in, taking those stages and opening for the greats.
Okay. Well said.
So I'm
Well said.
also still acting, still auditioning for theater, film, and television as well. So I look forward to doing more of that.
Okay. And also, if somebody wants Mr. Calvin Tucker to write for them, or, I don't know, maybe they want you to preach at their church or something like that, make a guest appearance, whatever, hop on a track, be a feature, how can they get in contact with Mr. Calvin Tucker?
Or lead praise and worship at your church or something like that. Absolutely. You can reach out at bookingbrocalvin@gmail.com. The booking number is 410-303-6841. My Instagram is Calvin, the number 2, ENT. So Calvin 2 ENT on Instagram. And so anything else you can get from one of those three ways. Look forward to hearing from everybody. Radio programmers, please holler at your boy so I can get you UnDoOver to put in your rotation. I'm telling you, it's going to bless your audience no matter what stage of relationships you are. Because, Valentine's Day, everybody's about, who you booed up with, who you got a Valentine. But what about a single people? You know what I'm saying? So UnDoOver is going, it's going to rock out for the single people,
Right. Okay. All right. So, for all those people out there who was rocking with you in Baltimore, when you was singing in front of your moms, at the pulpit, preaching, Rell, Scola from Drew Hill, all of that. Any final thoughts for your fans or shout outs before we sign off on Pimp Game?
Yeah, let me shout out my producer again, Owen Wilson, Chris Sherman, Frank Johnson, my vocal coach and consultant, Maurice Carroll of Stinky Face Music, the engineer for my projects. Fela is the female vocalist that you'll hear on the hook. She has a beautiful voice. Thank you, Fela, for lending your talent to this song. Everybody, my family, both schools. Shout out to both schools. The school that I teach at and the school that I mentor at, which is where I am now. And so shout out to them and all my students. I love all of y'all. And I'll see y'all soon. Check your boy out. UnDoOver on Valentine's Day. Brother Calvin featuring Scola and Rell.
It was a good show. Tell everybody who you chilling with.
Yeah, it's Brother Calvin. I'm chilling with Kenny D on the P.I.M.P Game Podcast.
And before I let you go, that concludes our show for this evening. And so I want to thank all my viewers out there for tuning in, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That's right. You're going to subscribe and make sure you turn those notifications on. So when we upload videos, you are the first to get it. And last but not least, we'd like to thank the one and only Baltimore's finest. That's right. Calvin Tucker, R&B sensation, for blessing us with his presence on the show. All right. See you next time on Pimp Game. You don't want to miss it. Holla.